Hi everyone, this is Rosa Kelly. Welcome back to my channel. So today I'm here to share with you how to make an easy and fun interactive mini album. This mini album is going to be an 8 by 6 and 3/4 and it's gonna have 6 signature pages. So I hope that you join along and create this album with me. I will have reading instructions for this album on my magazine, and that will be for the volume 2. So I try to always incorporate a fun tutorial for the magazine. I am gonna walk you through what we're gonna need. So as you can see, we are going to need a paper cutter, and also we are going to need a scoreboard like this. I'm sure you already familiar with that, but I do want to walk you through it just because I get a lot of questions, especially beginners. So those are the basic materials, the paper cutter and the scoreboard. Now you do need some type of score tape. So this is 3/8 of an inch score tape, and of course you're gonna need a pair of scissors, and I always use this little tool. This is from Cricut. You can buy it separately even if you don't have a Cricut machine, but this is very helpful to peel off your tape. So I love that tool. I use it for everything. You're gonna need some chipboard. Now the chipboard you are going to cut at 8 by 6 and 3/4, 2 pieces, and one at 8 by 3.5. Okay, so we're gonna need that. Then I am also going to be using some heavyweight cardstock, which is this one. This is 8.5 by 11. I typically get the one at Michael's. I love how thick it is. You're also going to need a little bit of regular 65-pound cardstock, and I'll just show you the difference. This one is very flexible, and I use this type of cardstock mainly for my binding and my hinges, because you do want your hinges to be flexible. You know, you're moving the pages, and also same thing for your binding. Now you don't want to use this heavyweight cardstock for your hinges because it will crack and it will start ripping. You are gonna need some type of design paper, and I'm gonna leave that up to your personal choice. All right, so let's get started. So we're gonna start by putting together 3 pieces of your 65-pound cardstock, just like this. All I did was join them with a little bit of score tape, and then we have our chipboard pieces. Now, like I said, this chipboard measures 8 by 6 and 3/4, both of them, and then you have one that measures 8 by 3.5, and I already went ahead and put some score tape on the back. I am using a 1-inch score tape for this part, but I only have this much left, so I'll be using my 1/2 inch or 3/8 of an inch for the remaining of this album. So I'm just going to go ahead and peel off the tape like this, and then we are just going to place this right into the center of our cardstock, just like that. Okay, then we're gonna peel off the tape on the ones on the side. So I'm gonna show you one of the sides here. So 1, 2, and I only put 4 pieces. I think it is plenty, but you could cover everything if you like. Okay, so now before we put this one down, we want to make sure we leave about an eighth of an inch room, which is probably about this much, and we're just gonna place this down like this. And if you don't know exactly how much room to leave in between, you can always use your little score tool to kind of guide yourself. And I'm just gonna do the same with this. Okay, so now we have the 3 pieces put down on the cardstock, and now I'm just going to cut some of these remaining cardstock on the side. And I do this after just because I really like my spine to be centered in between the two joints when we join these 3 sheets. You definitely want to avoid having that joint somewhere on this bending line, because then your album will fall apart eventually. So I'm going to cut this side as well, and you probably want about 1 inch on each side around. And then what I normally do is I just fold this, and I'm just gonna fold it now without adding any tape, and just kind of giving it the shape that you want. And it always helps to fold it before you add the tape, because then you know exactly where it's going. Once we have all the 4 sides folded, I'm going to grab my scissors and just cut a little corner just like this. And this is just to avoid any bulk on your binding. And make sure that you don't cut right against your chipboard. Kind of give it, again, about 1/8 of an inch space. And then I'm just going to do the same to all 4 corners. Now that we have the corners cut up, I'm just going to go ahead and add some score tape to all 4 sides. So now our album looks like this, and we're just going to take off the tapes, and I like to start with the 2 longer sides, and then we're just going to fold this down here like this. And since we already know where this is going, because we folded ahead, then we have it right where we need it. So now I'm just gonna do the same on this other side. Then once we have the 2 long sides, we're just going to push these little corners in. You can do this with your nails like I'm doing right now, or you can use your little score tool to help you, but I think it's just easier to do with my hands. So I'm just folding it a little bit, and now I'm just gonna take off the tape from the sides and just place this down. So now we have a piece like this, and we are going to grab our score tool and just mark the voids here, the connection where your album's going to bend, and just help it bend like this. So now we're gonna put that aside for now, and we are going to work on the hinges. So I'm going to use 2 lightweight cardstock, again 65 pound, and I'm gonna cut them at 7 1/4, just like this. So then I'm gonna start with the first one. I'm gonna place this on my scoreboard along the 11 inch side, and I'm going to start by scoring at 2. Okay, and then I'm going to score 1/2 inch for the first gusset. And then we're going to do 3/4 inches and 3/4 inches. So this is going to be 3 1/4 and 4. And then we're going to do 4 1/2, 5 1/4 and 6, 6 1/2, 7 1/4 and 8, 8 1/2, 9 1/4 and 10, and then we're going to do 10 1/2. Okay, and we have that little what is this measure, 1/2 inch at the end, that is going to work as a connection piece to the other side. Okay, so now we are going to start this one. Let me just show you the first one. I think you can see the score lines. So the 2 3/4 is gonna be 1 hinge for 1 page. So we have page 1, page 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so we need 2 more pages. So now we are going to start at 3/4 and 1 1/2, and now we're gonna score at 2, 2 3/4, 3 1/2, and 4, and then we're just going to score at 6 inches, and this is where we are going to trim this piece, or you can just simply cut it like this. Okay, so now we have our piece like this, and every time you see the 3/4 of an inch, we're just gonna pinch them together, and we are going to form our little heels like this. So we're gonna do the same with the next one, and the next one, like that, and the next one. Okay, so now we are going to turn these over, and we're going to place our tape on one of the sides of those little heels. So I'm just gonna cut this out. Okay, so now I have all the tape, and I'm just going to first peel off the tape on this one side, and then we're gonna make sure to press this really nice, and then we do the next same thing. We're gonna press this really nice, and the next one just like that, and one more. Just like that. Now we're gonna go to our second piece, and we're gonna do the same, but for the connection, see how we have, let me pull this to this side. We have this little 1/2 inch here, right? So I'm gonna fold this one, and I'm just gonna stand this up. And so the first two here that we have 3/4, 3/4, I'm going to again pinch them together, and I'm just going to insert this 1/2 inch like so. Okay, so I know it's hard to see on the black cardstock, but you basically just want to make them hug each other, and I find this the best way to join the two hinges. The way it stays really secure. So what I'm gonna do is just peel off the tape here, and make sure to put this really side to side, and then I'm just gonna join them. Okay, and then I'm going to put a second piece of tape now on this side, just like that. Cut that out. And now I'm going to close this hinge like this. Okay, so just like that. So now we have that hinge, and these two are joined together. And now we're just gonna do the last one, which basically we're just gonna pinch again. Turn this around, take off this tape. Okay, just like that. And again, I'm gonna make sure to press this really nice. So here we go. So now we have 6 hinges, and we are ready to add this to our album. Here we go. So now there's 2 ways to do these, and one is just using your double-sided tape. You could use your glue for this step. That is just up to you. So I am going to try to use the remaining of my 1 inch, which is not a lot, and I'm just going to do it here, and then I'm just gonna continue with my smaller double-sided tape. Okay, so I have all the tape, and now we're just gonna burnish this really good. Okay, and if you're new to making mini albums and you're afraid of tape, because usually tape, you don't have a lot of moving room. Once you place it down, that's it. I highly suggest you use your glue. Okay, so I peel off all of my tape, and now we're gonna place this down, and we are going to use this 1/2 inch scored lines that we have from both sides to kind of guide ourselves. Oops, let me stand up this so I can see my lines. So we're gonna use these 2 score lines. I don't know if you can see this one and this one here, but as long as you have one, we're just gonna line it with this little mark here. So, and also you want to make sure it's centered up and down. Okay, so again, we're just gonna make sure as long as you line one up, you don't have to worry about the other side. So I'm just looking at this side right now, and I'm lining the top, and I'm making sure the bottom's also lining up. And now I'm just ready to place this down, and I'm just going to gently do each one of the gussets at a time, just to make sure I don't get any air bubbles in between. And this last one. So my last one is actually a little bit away from the bending here, which is okay and expected also. All right, so now I'm just going to go with my ruler, and I'm going to rescore the end, because like I say, my score line is kind of here and the bending point is a little bit away from that. So I'm just gonna line this up again and give it a gentle score, and then I'm just gonna help this bend like this and like this. Now if you're using glue, make sure you wait until your glue is fully dry before you bend your covers, otherwise they might start bubbling up over here. Okay, so now we have our basic binding and hinges ready, and we can start doing some page designs. So I'm going to start with the front cover. This is going to be page 1, and actually no, we're gonna call this inside front cover and inside back cover. I think that's the way I have it on the magazine tutorial. So we are going to use heavyweight cardstock, I think, from now on. Okay, so I won't be saying what type of cardstock. We're just going to assume everything is heavyweight, unless I say it is 65 pounds, which I don't think we'll use anymore. Okay, so I'm going to start with one sheet. Now these, all my sheets measure 8.5 by 11, just if you're in another country, and I think you guys have a different A4 size. I do want to make that clear, 8.5 by 11 to start for all the sheets. So now I'm going to cut my first one at 6.5 by 7.75. Okay, so this is my very first page, which is going to go right here, and we'll probably need 2 of those, one for the front back cover and one for the back cover. Yes, so we'll probably need 2, but I'll do that later because I do want to first create a pocket. Now I'm going to use this other side that we cut out when we cut this page right now, and I'm going to cut these at 7.75, just like that. So for this piece, I'm going to score at 1/2 inch, and I am working along the 7.75 inch side. And then I'm going to score at 7.25, and then I'm going to flip this like so, and again score at 1/2 inch. So we have a piece like this, and then I'm going to grab my scissors, and I am just going to cut a little corner just like so to create this pocket. And then we're going to place these over here. So I'm just going to fold along my score lines and add some tape. Okay, so now I have my double-sided tape on the inside of the folds, and I'm just gonna peel off this tape. Now again, to add pockets, I find it easier to do it with glue. So because I kind of out of glue, I'm just gonna be using tape for most of these. Okay, so now I'm just lining up this corner here, and as long as this corner is good, then we can just keep pressing down our tape, and then it should be fine. Okay, so now we have our pocket, and we can go ahead and add these into our inside front cover like that. Okay, so now we're gonna work on the inside of the back cover. So for that one, I'm also going to need a piece of 6.5 by 7 3/4. Right there. And we are going to need a second sheet. Grab one here. And this is also going to measure 7 3/4 by 6.5. So they both measure the same thing. What we're going to do with one of them is we're going to score at 1/2 inch on one of the sides along the 6.5. Okay, so I'm just going to score 1/2 inch like this, and now we're just gonna fold along the score line and add our double-sided tape, and then we're just gonna fold this and we're gonna take off the tape. So I'm just gonna take off a little bit on the top, and I'm gonna line it up with this one and just place it on one of the sides, and I'm just going to press down on my sticky side and remove this tape. Okay, so now we have an opening flap, and I'm going to add these to my back cover, and I'm just gonna do that with some double-sided tape. So now I'm just going to add it. I have my tape on the back, and I'm gonna place it right down there, and now we have this opening flap. Okay, so now we can start working on the pages. So for the base page, I'm going to cut one sheet of my 8.5 by 11. So it's 11, 8.5. So I'm simply going to cut these at 6.25. So that's one of the sheets, 6.25 by 8.5. And we're gonna save all of our scraps. Okay, we're gonna make a pile here, and then I'm going to cut another one of 6.25 by 7.5. So this one is going to be shorter by 1 inch. So now we have two sizes. I'm going to work with the larger size, the 8.5 by 6.25, and I'm going to score at 1/2 inch on both sides. So 1/2 inch and 8 inches. Then I'm gonna fold along my score lines and add some double-sided tape. Okay, so now we have our two pieces, and what I'm gonna do is just fold these two in, press really hard, and I'm going to just peel a corner of the tape off like so. And I'm gonna place the smaller one on top. Now I'm going to use this side to kind of guide it and make sure it's straight. And I think as long as one of the corners matches, all the corners should match. So once we have it where we want it, we're just gonna press down on the sticky side and remove the tape. And then I'm gonna bend these. Always hold the center. You don't want to glue, to add these and then have like a big bubble on your page. Okay, make sure you hold this down, and then you want to peel off your tape here too, just like that. So now we have the first page, and we are going to do 5 more of this. Okay, so now I have all 6 of my base pages, and we are going to start working on these one at a time. All right, so for the first page, I'm going to use 2 sheets of heavy weight cardstock again, and I am going to cut these ones at 7.25. Let me place it right there. Oops. 7.25 by 6.5, and we are going to need 2 of the same. Then I'm gonna use another sheet and cut these at 6.25 by 8. So we have these 3 pieces. All right, so the first 2 pieces, I'm going to score 1/2 inch along the 6.5 inch side. So I'm gonna do the same for both. And for the third piece, I'm going to place these along the 8 inch side and score at 1/2 inch. And for each one of these 1/2 inch little flaps, I'm going to be adding some double-sided tape. Okay, so now I have these 3 pieces. I'm gonna grab my first base page and I'm gonna start with the larger one, and I'm going to just peel off a little bit of the tape, and we are folding along the score line, and we're just gonna match this up to the top of the page, just like this. And once we have it where we want it, we are just going to simply remove the tape. Now we're gonna open this up, and we are going to place these 2 flaps, one on the left and one on the right here. So let's start with this one. I'm just gonna peel off the tape here a little bit, and then I'm gonna place these on the left. Now you want to align this to the bottom of the page. This page is a little bit smaller than your base because you want to make sure you're not conflicting with this flap. Okay, so I'm just gonna line it up to the bottom and remove the tape, and then we're gonna do the same on this side. Just line it up to the bottom. So now we have this piece that opens to the sides and it closes like so. Okay, so now we want to place a magnet where this flap closes so we can stay close. Now you don't have to use a magnet. You have many choices for closure. We can add, you know, some ribbon and tie it on the back. So the way I place my magnets is I place one and put my tape, and then I just put in the second one and then grab my tape with the sticky side up, and then I place my magnet right there and I put this down. Now I am using magnets that are 10 millimeter by 1 millimeter. So that is the size that I prefer to use. So now we're gonna open that up, and because this is very heavy cardstock, I'm going to make sure that this also sticks down. Because see how it's only sticking to the first layer. See how it extends, comes out a little. So I'm going to place another magnet on the back. Okay, so I'm gonna open this, place my magnet there, and I'm going to put my double-sided tape with the sticky side up. Okay, and I'm gonna open this one for now, and I'm gonna close this right there. Okay, so now this one is stick to the back, and then we have this fold, and that's gonna connect to that, and this is gonna connect to that. So now we have 3 magnets, and this closes up a lot better. All right, so now we're gonna flip this and we're gonna work on page number 2. So for page number 2, I'm going to work with 2 pieces from my scraps, and make sure these 2 pieces are, you know, the same size. And these ones that I'm using, oops, I kind of have 3. So this one that I'm using measures 4 3/4 by 8.5. So we're gonna keep one to 8.5, and we're gonna cut the second one at 8. All right, so now we have 2 pieces like that. I'm going to score them. The first one at both ends, so I'm going to do 1/2 inch and 8 inches, and the second one just at 1/2 inch. So I added score tape and folded along that 1/2 inch score line, and I'm just going to now remove one of the sides of the tape, and so we're gonna make sure this is folded in, and we're just gonna create some type of belly band here. So we're gonna place this right on the center. Move up a little. So here we go. So I'm just going to press this down. Okay, done on the sticky side. I'm gonna take off that tape. Okay, and now I'm just simply going to remove the tape from the bottom. Oh, I have 2 pieces of tape because I ran out of one. So here we go. So I'm just gonna take that off and press it down. All right, so now the second piece, this one, is just going to go on top of this belly band. So this will be a belly band and also a flap or an opening flap. Okay, so we're gonna make sure it's right on top of the first one, right there. Okay, and I'm just gonna hold these and whoops, look at me. I'm going to remove the tape. Let's see, I was pressing too hard, I guess. Okay, but now I have it on place, so now I can just press down, and here we go. So now we have another flap, and I will need a magnet right down there as well. So page number 3, we're going to do about the same thing with a twist. So again, I'm gonna grab 2 sheets from my scraps that measure exactly the same. And so this first one, I'm going to keep the way it is. I'm not gonna do anything to that one. And the second one, I'm going to cut at 7.5. Now I'll tell you the width of this page is again about 4 3/4. Okay, so now I'm going to score these pieces. So now what I'm going to do is create a pocket with an opening. So similar to what we did for page 2. So I'm going to score this time at 1/2 inch, okay, along the 4 3/4. So I'm doing 1/2 inch, and then I'm going to place it like that and score at 1/2 inch and at 8 inches. That's the first piece. Now the second piece, I'm just simply going to score at 1/2 inch. Now for this first piece, I'm going to cut the corners to make our pocket. So I'm just going to go like this and like this. Okay, and now I'm just gonna fold along the score lines for both and add my score tape. So now we have these 2 pieces with the score tape, and I'm going to bring my base again and remove the tape. Now I suggest you only remove the tape from one of the sides so far. I'm just gonna fold everything down, and I'm gonna place this along the left side, and I'm just gonna press it down and remove the tape. Okay, so now I'm gonna open that up and do this one here. Place that down, and then I'm going to do this other side. And again, I really think the pockets are a lot easier to do with glue. Oh, did I remove that? Okay, so now we have the pockets on this side, and I'm now going to add the flip to the side. So it's kind of like a hidden flip because it goes right on top of your pocket. So I'm going to just again remove the tape, place it to the side, and just place this right on top of my pocket and do that. Super cool and super fun. And now I'm just going to add a magnet here as well. Now if you want to be a little bit more creative, we can even add a second flap here on the top. So why don't we do that? So I'm going to use another one of my scrap pieces, and I'm going to cut these at 4 3/4, which is the width. Actually no, 4 1/4. Okay, 4 1/4. And then I'm going to do this by 8. 4 1/4 by 8. So now I have this piece that's gonna go right on top here, and I'm going to score 1/2 inch on the top. Place this down and just place that on my scoreboard and score that 1/2 inch. And now I'm just going to add my tape. So now I'm just going to remove this tape, and we're going to place this right on top of this flap here, right on the top of that. So I'm just gonna hold it and take off the tape here, make sure it's right on top. Okay, so now we have this on the top, and then we have the flap here. So we're gonna add some magnets. So I'm going to use 3 magnets for this, and I'm just gonna place one on this flap, and I'm gonna put it on the bottom so it will hold this and it will hold that. Or you can do 2 here and then 2 there. That works too, but I'm just trying to save on magnets. Okay, so I'm gonna place that one there. Then I'm gonna close this, open that up, place a magnet here. Now this one I'm just going to glue right down there, and then I'm gonna place the 3rd magnet there with the sticky side up this time. And now I'm just gonna close this, and here we go. So then we have a page that opens up, and it opens to the side, and it's a pocket. All right, so now let's work on the back. Okay, so for page number 4, I'm going to use a new sheet of cardstock, and I'm going to cut these at 7 1/2 by 5 1/2. Okay, so now we have 2 pieces, and I'm gonna score these 2 at 1/2 inch along the 5 1/2 inch side. Okay, so now I'm gonna place these 2, one on the left and one on the right. So I'm going to add my double-sided tape. Okay, so I'm just removing the tape here and placing this one. So we're going to make sure that it is aligned to the side here, and we're gonna place that, and then I'm going to do the same on the opposite side. Okay, and then I'm just going to take off this tape. So I am going to add one more flap to this. So I'm gonna grab now one of my scrap pieces, and I'm going to trim this at 6 1/2. And this piece measures 4 3/4 also. I think all of our scrap pieces might measure around the same. And I'm going to score at 1/2 inch and add some score tape. Okay, and now I'm just gonna place this piece on the left side. Okay, so I'm just gonna place it on, it doesn't matter on which side, just one of the sides, just like that. So now this piece will open up like that and like that and like this one more time, and I am going to add my magnet on this side. Okay, so for page 5, I'm going to use a new sheet of paper, and I'm going to create a tall pocket. So I'm going to cut this at 7 1/4 by 7 1/4, and that's going to be our first piece. Then I'm going to cut a second piece at 6 1/4 by 7 1/4. So then I'm gonna start with the 7¼ by 7¼ piece, and I am just simply going to score 1/2 inch on 3 sides. So I'm just gonna flip that and do 1/2 inch and do 1/2 inch, and then I'm going to cut the corners to create our pocket. And the second piece, I'm going to place it again against the 7¼ inch side, and I'm just going to score at 1/2 inch. So then I'm going to add my double-sided tape. So now I'm gonna start with the pocket. I'm just gonna peel off some of the tape on one of the sides, and I'm just going to make sure these are flipped in, and just line it up with the corner of your page, just like that. Oops, here we go. And I'm just gonna press down on that sticky side and take off the tape, and then I'm going to take off the tape here as well. I'm just gonna do both. Okay, and now we're just gonna close these, and now we have our pocket ready, a tall pocket on the top, and then we are going to add this other piece right on top of our pocket. So here we go. I just peel off some of the tape and I line it up to my pocket and just place it right on top. So now we have these large pockets and this flip up as well, and then we can add a little closure here with some magnets. So for the next page, page 6, I'm going to use a new piece of cardstock, and I'm going to cut these at 6½ by 7½. And the remainder here that we have, I'm just simply going to cut these at 8 inches. So this piece measures 4½ by 8. I am simply going to score along the 6½ inch side at 1/2 inch. And the second piece, I'm going to score along the 8 inch side at 1/2 inch. I'm gonna fold along the score lines and add my double-sided tape. So now we're gonna put this page together in 2 steps. First, I'm going to grab the smaller piece, peel off the tape, and just simply place it on the larger piece. I'm just going to center it like so and just add it. And then I'm going to place this whole thing on the left side of my page. So I am going to just line it up to the side. Make sure this corner is lined up, then this one should be good. Let's see, there we go. And I'm just gonna again just take off my tape here. So now we have page number 5, which opens up, and page number 6, which will open up and then to the side. And now for this page, I will add a magnet here and a magnet here as well. So now we're gonna work on page number 7. So for page number 7, I am using 3 of my scrap pieces, and this measures 4 3/4. And so I'm going to cut one at 8, one at 7, and one at 6. Okay, so then I'm gonna score each one at 1/2 inch. Okay, so I'm going to do this one along the 6 inches, this one here along the 7 inches. Oops. And the next one along the 8 inches. And then I'm just going to fold and add my score tape. So now I'm gonna build the page. I'm just going to grab the smaller piece and place it on the next one, and make sure to fold this back so you know exactly how to align that. And here we go, just like this. Take off this tape. Oops, here we go. Take off that tape, and then we're gonna place both of these on top of the next one. And then I'm gonna take off that tape. Just align it right below your score line. Okay, and now we're gonna place this whole thing on our page. So again, I'm just gonna take off that tape and just center it on the top, and just like that. Okay, so now we have a double flip page, kind of like a waterfall, but different in a way that we still have the whole back of the page available. So for page number 8, I'm simply grabbing another one of my scrap pieces. This one measures 4 3/4 again, and I'm going to cut this at 7 1/4. And I'm going to score 1/2 inch on both. Okay, so now I'm just going to add this as a belly band into my page. Just gonna place it right on the center like this. So I make sure that it's centered up and down, and I start with one side, and then for the next one it's just very easy to take off the tape, fold it, and press it down. Make sure you're holding the center so it does not bubble up. And here we go, we have a simple belly band. So now we're gonna work on page number 9. I'm going to start with a new cardstock page, and I'm going to cut this at 7, and then we're gonna do this down the center again. So this is going to be 5 1/2. So we have 2 pieces of 7 by 5 1/2. Now I'm going to do another piece of cardstock, and I'm going to cut this at 6 1/4 by 7 3/4. Okay, so now we have another piece, and I'm going to use this one that I have left over from that, and I'm just simply going to cut this, let's say 6 1/2. And now let's put everything together. We're gonna build this page in 2 steps. I'm going to work with the 7 by 5 1/2 pieces first, and I'm just simply going to score 1/2 inch along the 5 1/2 inch side, and I'm going to add score tape there. So then I'm going to add these 2 pieces on my page, and I'm going to do one on each side. Okay, so oops, let me try to grab that tape, pull that out, and then we're gonna do the same on that side. And let's make sure that we are aligned with the first one here. So I'm just going to place this down and remove the tape. So now we have the first part, which is this 2. Grab the larger piece, and I'm going to score along the 7 3/4 inch side at 1/2 inch, and then I'm gonna grab the smaller piece, and I'm going to score along the 6 1/2 inch side at 1/2 inch. And again, I'm just gonna add. So now I'm going to grab the large piece, and I'm just simply going to trim the corners just a little bit, and kind of like a V shape. I'm going to open these 2 up, and we're gonna place this one on top here. So I'm just going to remove the tape and just place this down there. And I cut the little notches on the flaps so it won't interfere with these 2 down there. So I don't know if we can see. you know, that way the corner is not going all the way down here and touching this score line there. So now we have one on the top, and then we're just going to place one on the bottom, just on the center. And I'm going to take that out, and here we go. So now this page, we have the two flaps, and then the top large area, and then this one will come here, and here we'll add our magnets. So I place one magnet on this side, and then I toss the next one, and just make sure you have your sticky side up, and then we're just simply going to close this up. All right, so now let's work on the back side. So we're gonna be working on pages 10 and now also 11, because I want these two pages to be kind of like opposites. I call them my twin pages. I always like to add one into my books. All right, so I'm going to start with a new piece of cardstock and just cut these at 6.5 by 7.5, and we're going to need 2. Then I'm going to grab the 2 scrap pieces that we got from those cuts and just cut them at 7.5, just both of those. Now I'm going to score along the 6.5 inch side at 1/2 inch. So I'm gonna do that for both. And then I'm gonna score the smaller pieces again at 1/2 inch along the 4.5 inch side. And now I'm just gonna add my tape. So now let's build the pages. I'm gonna start with this page number 10. I'm just simply going to grab the large piece and place it on the left. Just like that. And then I'm going to grab the smaller piece and place it again on the left, right on top of this page. All right. Perfect. And now we're going to do the same on the next page, number 11. We're just gonna make this to the opposite side. So I'm going to take off the tape on the side and just place it now on the right side. Press this down. Okay, and then the smaller piece will go right on top. Oops. Here we go. Oops. Okay, so now we're just gonna place this right on top there. Okay, and now I'm going to use 2 more pieces here from my leftover pile, and I'm gonna cut these ones. Let's see, we're gonna cut these at 6 inches, and I'm just going to do by 4.25, and I'm going to do 2 of those. So now I'm just going to score along the 6 inch at 1/2 inch for both. I'm just going to add these pieces, and these are going to go as a closure. So I'm gonna open these up and place them on the opposite side of the flaps. For example, this one will go on the right, and then we're gonna close this and we're gonna place our magnet on this side. And for the other one, I'm just going to do the opposite. So we're going to place this one on this side. Okay, And here we go. So now we have our pretty twin pages ready. And for my page number 12, I cut a piece of 5.5 by 7, and then I'm going to cut a second piece, and this is just again using my scraps. I'm gonna cut this at 7.25 by 4.5. And with this one, we are going to create a pocket. So I'm gonna score along the 7.25 inch side, 1/2 inch. Then I'm going to flip this and do 1/2 inch. And then one more time, 1/2 inch to create our pocket. Now I'm going to cut the corners here, 1 and 2, and then we're gonna add our tape. Now for the second piece, I'm gonna place it along the 7-inch side and just score at 1/2 inch. So now we're just gonna place the pocket here on the page, on the last page. Just gonna do it like that. Then I'm gonna open it, take off the tape here and here, and just close everything. And here we go. And now we're just gonna place this second piece on the top, right on the center. There we go. And finally, I'm just gonna add some magnets to keep this closed. So now we have our pages ready, and we are going to put everything together in our album. So I'm going to grab the base here. Now make sure you have your orientation properly, like you have your pocket on your left side, okay? And to add these pages, the first thing we're gonna do is add some double-sided tape into our hinges, and just going to use a 1/2 inch tape. So I'm just gonna place my tape closest to the outside edge, and we're going to do both sides. So I'm gonna do this one, then I'm gonna flip this and do that one as well. And I'm just gonna continue with all the hinges. So now I'm gonna start adding my pages. So I'm gonna grab the first one, and what I'm gonna do is just take off just a bit of the tape here, and then we are going to insert, just find the center of your page, make sure you have the center. We're gonna insert this, and then we're just simply going to center it and press down on the sticky side and just remove the tape. Okay, and then we're just gonna smooth this out, flip your page over and find your tape on the back. Let's see, and then we're just going to remove the tape from there too, and just move this out. And there we go. So now we have the first page, and I'm just going to continue adding the rest of the pages. So I am done adding my pages, and the album was really fun to make. I hope that you like the tutorial. I hope that you give it a try. Like I said, I have written extra instructions for this interactive album on my digital magazine available on my website, so I will put the link down below. Now all you have to do is select your beautiful design paper and just cover everything up. I wouldn't embellish the pages way too much. I think I'm just going to add my paper, and you know, with all the interaction, you don't really need to add more embellishments than that. Plus, always keep in mind that we have a 1/2 inch gusset. After you add the pages and you add your pictures, your album, it's probably going to expand a little bit. I do I did already account for that on the gussets, but yes, so I would avoid adding extra flowers and things like that. But you can feel free to be as creative as you like on your front cover. So I hope that you enjoy this tutorial, and let me know what you think, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.